YouTube, what's going on? It's Rob with Sprayer Splash Fragrance Reviews, and today I'm going to be going over my final haul for 2022. If you're interested in finding out what those fragrances are, please stay tuned. All right, so at the beginning of 2022, I kind of thought to myself, I'm not going to make a lot of purchases this year. My collection is big enough, and I'm going to kind of use some restraint and control and not buy too many things. And that kind of went out the window after about 2 or 3 months, and I found myself buying a lot of stuff again. So this final haul is really all about niche fragrances. So let's get into it. First up is from the House of Olfactive Studios. I picked up 2 additional fragrances from this house, and I still have one more to get. First one is Flashback in New York. This is one that I had been on the fence about because when you check out the written reviews, there are a lot of negative reviews and people saying that this fragrance is very animalic, kind of skanky smelling. Some people even equated it to like kind of BO-ish. And I can assume that's probably because it's got a cumin note, but I don't really get that on my skin. It just kind of gives it a certain like spicy, characteristic, but it doesn't come off BO-ish at all to me. There's leather in this. There's also violet. A lot of notes in this. It's also got sage. I think it's a very pleasant smelling fragrance and one that could be a signature scent for somebody. It's got good performance. It's a warmer fragrance. I think it's perfect for the fall and winter. Got to live with it some more and, really see what it does and how it like truly evolves and changes. Because I think you have to really wear a fragrance multiple times to really get a true feel of how that fragrance performs and reacts and changes. But it's one that I'm happy to have in the collection. I actually got it for a really good price via FragranceNet. They've got a lot of fragrances from this house at really good prices, so I highly encourage you to check them out. I don't know if the prices are going to change once we get past the holiday season, but I got this one for a steal. So again, this is Flashback in New York, Olfactive Studios. Picked up a second one from that same house, and this one is called Violet Shot. I was kind of going back and forth between Violet Shot and I think it was like Iris Shot, but I chose this one. And this has got what I would say is a very, very nice candy violet note. And I really like that note. The only negative for me with this fragrance is that it has what appears to be like a very strong aldehyde-like opening. And I don't know if that's an actual note. I didn't go back to check the notes again after I bought it, but the opening has this very, they use aldehydes to make fragrances bright. And sometimes to me and my nose, they can come off like very chemical smelling, almost very artificial smelling. And it's not my favorite accord or note, but it's kind of got like an aldehydic feel to it in the opening, paired with a candy violet. It's pretty linear. It's pretty linear throughout the life of the fragrance, but it's got a great smell, and I haven't worn it enough to know like how it smells to other people, or even like to like smell it wafting off of me. It's still like one that I've only tested on strips and sprayed it once on skin, and that's kind of what I thought, but I want to definitely give it wears to kind of be able to come back and tell you what I truly think about the fragrance. But really nice one so far. Violet Shot, Olfactive Studios. I picked up 2 fragrances from the House of Amor Oud. The first one is one called Santal des Indes, or Des Indes. And this, in my limited, testing, I've only worn it once and sprayed it on testers. So it's a sandalwood based fragrance, but it's really not the focus isn't really on sandalwood. To me, the focus is more on the spiciness of the fragrance and how dry it is. It's an extremely dry fragrance that is kind of green. And I think this is going to be a fragrance that wears well, but I've got to give it some more testing to be able to talk about it in more detail. But it's one that I was able to pick up for a really great price on FragranceNet.com, and I want to say maybe it was $100 to maybe like 110, somewhere in that range. If I'm off, I'm off. But I'll put all the info on the screen so you can see it. But one that I was excited to try to finally be able to track down, Santal des Indes, Amor Oud. Another one that had got a lot of hype from fellow reviewers, but I was never able to catch it, was White Hinoki from Amor Oud. And this one reminds me of the opening of this fragrance by Acqua di Palma. I think it was like Myrtle D something. I'm drawing a blank right now, but it's a fragrance that I have in my collection, and it's a very green aromatic fragrance, and it really mimics the opening of that fragrance. It doesn't smell like that fragrance for the life of the fragrance, but that opening, the opening of this truly reminds me of that fragrance's opening. But this is definitely a warm weather fragrance. It is, it's kind of floral, little soapy, very clean. One that, again, would work great in the warm weather. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of testing at home for right now and under controlled conditions. And maybe this will be on the spring or summer list for 2023. But another one I'm happy to have in the collection. Again, this is White Hinoki from Amor Oud. Okay, I picked up two of what would be considered the safer fragrances from the brand Electimus. And the first one is this fragrance called Trajan. Trajan is like a copy of the Baccarat Rouge 540. And I knew that when I bought it, but I bought it anyway, thinking that it may have a little twist to it, something that made it a little unique, but it truly feels like it's a Baccarat Rouge 540 like clone. I'm not saying that that's exactly what they did, but it really smells extremely close to it. And it's one that I like Baccarat Rouge 540. I don't know if I need it because I have a few other fragrances that kind of do that same thing, but they have a twist. And so I don't know if I'll keep this. This may be one that I gift to somebody, or I may keep it. Not really sure, but I got a really great deal on it. So some of these fragrances from Electimus are currently selling in the low 100s on FragranceNet.com. So, I had kind of gotten away from FragranceNet, and I was strictly like FragranceBuy.ca. But I've been seeing some good deals, and I was able to make a few purchases with a 40% off coupon that really helped as far as the final price. So, every now and then you have to kind of go back to the old well and get some stuff. And FragranceNet for me was one of the fragrance gray retailers that I would go to initially and buy a lot of fragrances from. So from the house of Electimus, this is Trajan. Second from the house of Electimus is Imperium. Imperium is supposed to be, I don't know if it's supposed to be, but it's like a copy of, or a reinterpretation of Aventus mixed with Ani. So for those that don't know, Aventus is like a big fragrance for the brand Creed, and Ani is from Nichane. And when I first sprayed this, it felt like it was it felt like it was 70% Ani and 30% Aventus. But after wearing it a second time, I changed my position. It is like 60 to 65% Creed Aventus, and the rest is Anise. So it's more Creed Aventus than Anise, but it's nice. It's a nice twist. It feels like the vanilla is highly increased, and like that pineapple is toned way down. So it's more like the birch, the smokiness of that, the black currant. It's kind of that feels like it's more about that, and then the vanilla is again amped up. This is a solid fragrance. It's not anything new. For those who stay in the know and current on all the fragrance releases, this is not going to be something that I think, in my opinion, you have to have. If you're new to the fragrance game, this might be a cool pickup, so you can kind of kill two birds with one stone and have this fragrance versus trying to get Aventus and trying to get Anise. Now, if you want to get both, but I think that this kind of like extracts the best qualities of both. So, I think it's a nice pickup for those who don't have either, or maybe you have one and not the other. So take from that what you will, but from the House of Electimus, this is Imperium. I think I may have found the best smelling tobacco fragrance I've ever come across. All right, from the House of Xerjoff, this is Naxos. And this is one that I never really gave any serious consideration to, but I was just online, reading some reviews, and people were really raving about how good Naxos was. And I've seen other videos where people talk about how much they like this as a tobacco fragrance. And I finally got a good deal on it and said, let me pull the trigger on this. And I got it. And I'm going to have to agree. This is a great smelling tobacco fragrance. It's probably, I think, my best smelling tobacco fragrance. I can't say it's the best performing, but I will say it is the best smelling tobacco fragrance that I have. It's primarily to me, and I've only worn it once and tested it on test strips, all right? But it's like this honey tobacco that is so refined, it's so smooth, so classy and elegant, that wow. I kind of get the hype. I get why people revere this one so much, and I can't wait to wear this one more. So again, from the House of Xerjoff, this is Naxos. Next up is my second purchase from the Z Creators second release, or 2.0. This is Second Soul, and this is the second release from Justin Copeland. First was Brass and Soul, and I picked up the second release. I'm going to pick up Evening Mystique also. I've got a couple samples of that, and I really like that one too. My position stands from what I said in regard to the first impression, in regard to it feeling like it's got like a classic feel in the opening. It's definitely a very nice frag. I'm saying that honestly. It is an extension of Brass and Soul. It's darker, it's deeper, it's richer. It's not as soapy smelling as the first release, and that suede note is killer. This is a fragrance, again, this is a fragrance that smells better to me in the air than just doing that. You've got to let this one push. You walk around, let it waft, and you'll be able to smell how attractive this fragrance is. I mean that honestly. I think that this is a very solid release, and if you've never checked it out, I think you should try to at least get a sample, see what you think from that, and then if you want to make that purchase, make the purchase. But from Zaharoff, this is from the Z Creators 2.0 release. This is Second Soul. Looking at different comments from multiple YouTubers that have put out fragrances, I tend to see that people are not thoughtful and feel like they can just say whatever they want to and attack these creators and say that they're not creative and want to question them and try to see if their level of creativity matches up to what they think it should be, or whatever the case is. And I just want to say this, and I'll get off my soapbox, and I'll say it as somebody who has experience kind of sort of in doing something kind of similar to this. And forgive me for the outside noise. In my 9 to 5, I work in the insurance industry. I've worked off and on, mostly on in the insurance industry since like 1999. First company I worked for was Liberty Mutual, and I've since moved on to multiple other insurance companies. But my favorite pastime and hobby is DJing, music, and a little production, but mostly DJing. And I've DJed since 1983. In that time, I've done multiple parties. You kind of start off doing sets for friends, and then it moves into little small events, and then it kind of gets into clubs, and then you can move on to bigger clubs and corporate events and all types of stuff. And people will often come to you, and this is like the connection I'm trying to make. People will come to me as a DJ that has a wealth of knowledge of music and different genres, and say, hey, we want to have this night, and we want you to curate music to create this like soundscape for this night, or we want you to do this set and play this type of music. And once you can get beyond like the language barrier, because there is a language barrier that can exist between you being a DJ and a lay person that maybe likes certain types of music. And once you can get beyond that, you can get on the same page to where, hey, I get what you're trying to say, and I can reach into my bag and try to create something that meets what your vision is. And we collab, and I'm trying to show you how to get from A to Z. And you, not being a person that does this, may not know how to get from A to Z, but I do. And the creativity can come into that, where me as an expert, I have a definite vision on how to get there, or I have these paths that I've used in the past on how to get there and make it successful. You don't. And I try to work with what you want and try to help you, achieve your vision as far as what the music is going to sound like. And that can be a great success, because sometimes it causes the experienced DJ to maybe think outside the box and work in a way to help them achieve the end goal and get the sound and vibe that they really want. And I kind of equate that to these YouTubers working with these perfumers, and they've got a vision of what they want it to smell like, and the perfumer is the catalyst to help them get to their vision. And they don't know how to make a fragrance, the perfumer does. But it doesn't mean that they're not creative because they have to go to a perfumer and get them to help bring their vision to life. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's ridiculous when I see people critique them or attack their creativity, when that's just one aspect of it. They've got a vision, but they have to have somebody to help them bring that vision to life. But you shouldn't attack them for using that vehicle to get there. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Just like if nobody's going to attack Tom Ford. He's not a perfumer. He works with perfumers, and they bring his vision to life, and he's considered to be this tastemaker, trendsetter, progressive mind that has changed the fragrance industry multiple times. He can't make a fragrance, at least I don't think he can, but nobody ever attacks his creativity or says he's not creative. So why do you do that with these guys who really don't have a platform truly besides their YouTube page? Why do you attack them? I don't get it. But I just wanted to say that one time. I'm not going to get on that anymore. I think it's kind of silly and not thoughtful when people do that. So hey, that's my soapbox moment. But again, I'm going to end it. I hope everybody is well. I hope the video finds you well. It's the holidays. Step outside your comfort zone. Do something nice for somebody. Make their day. That's what the season is really all about. So I'm going to say peace, and I will talk to you soon. Later.